Hello, everyone, and welcome to Service in Action, a short podcast devoted to servant leadership and solving big problems, brought to you by the Rotary Club of the Park Cities located in Dallas, Texas. We are an engaged, motivated, and thriving local club devoted to serving our community in partnership with strong local nonprofits. Simply put, we serve the community. And these podcast conversations are designed to explain just a little bit about the work we do and the important role of our collaborative partnerships. The motto of Rotary International is service above self, and that's what drives us every day. So we're joined in studio today by our Rotary Club of the Park Cities president, Dr. Nolan Duck. Thanks for being here, Dr. Duck.
Well, thank you, Jay.
Can I just call you Nolan?
Just
Is that okay?
Nolan.
All right.
That's fine.
And our special guest today is Daniel Roby, who's the CEO of Austin Street Center here in Dallas, Texas. Daniel, thanks for being here.
Privileged to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
How do you like our RCPC studio?
Oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Well,
Blown away by the quality.
I'll tell you what, yeah, we're
It's special.
stepping into the next century,
Yeah.
Right.
we think.
Yeah.
We think. So, Daniel, let's jump right into it. For people who haven't heard of Austin Street Center, how do you describe it in your elevator pitch?
Oh gosh.
Well, is that?
For starters, Austin Street Center has been providing safe shelter, meeting some of the basic needs of the most vulnerable homeless in our community for golly, over 40 years now. And in that timeline, we've gone through a lot of transitions of having people sleep on the floor, to cots, to beds, to a new building that we opened up just a couple of years ago. But all of our programs are really designed to end someone's homeless experience, and take them to a permanent place to call home. And so that's really what our heart beats for.
So 40 years. That's a
Yeah.
great statistic. I didn't realize you had been around that long. You haven't been there that long, but Austin Street.
I volunteered when I was 10 years old, so it's been a while.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, what about the snapshot of homelessness in Dallas? If we're going to look at trends kind of from the 10,000-foot view, how do you describe where we are now and how that footprint of homelessness has evolved over the last couple of decades?
Well, this is an interesting time for you to be asking that question. In 2023, nationally, we had the largest increase in homelessness that we had seen since we began taking numbers in 2007.
Wow.
And it was like a 12 to 13% increase, which represents like tens of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
Then this past year, that was the largest increase we'd ever seen until last year.
Oh.
So we've had back-to-back years, and this was up 18%. So really what we're seeing nationally is a massive increase. Dallas has done a pretty good job at really kind of targeting resources towards some effective solutions that Austin Street is a part of. And in that effort, we've been able to hold our numbers pretty consistent. So we're in about the 4,500, 5,000 individuals that we can find and count on a
Right.
night. We think the estimation's probably about double that in terms of the number of people that are homeless. But we're getting more and more transitioned into housing every day.
Good.
But we can't control the pipeline of people coming into homelessness.
Well, and that's the thing. We all know that Dallas, North Texas, is booming.
Yes.
And all of California is basically moving here. That's what I've heard. But so that causes a lot of pressure on in all kinds of infrastructure. What do you attribute is that part of just that simple demographic change is probably influencing the numbers you're seeing?
Absolutely. Any community you look at, where housing prices go up, you could basically get a ballpark, estimate. Basically $100 increase in rent can equal up to a 9% increase in homelessness.
Wow.
So as that changed here in North Texas, what that means for us is we think at least 3,000 people fall into homelessness every single year. That's currently what we feel like those numbers are. Again, that's an estimate.
Sure.
But that means that even when you're making progress in homelessness, you have to remember that it's a funnel, right? There's throughput, right? So you want to get people in the door and hopefully out of the door as quick as possible. And that's what we're focused on.
So who is the typical client? Who is that? Is there a typical client, or how do you describe that person who finds themselves, him or her, or family, homeless?
Well, I love that you phrase it that way because there isn't a category of people.
Yeah.
At Austin Street in the past year, let's say, I've had people there who I went to church with growing up, in the Methodist Church in Highland Park. I've had people who I went to elementary school with that were in my class in second grade at the shelter. Stockbrokers, ministers, believe it or not. We've had lots of folks that are teachers, several generations of poverty in areas of South Dallas that are historically segregated and not experiencing the vitality that we need in those communities. So all of those things kind of contribute. So we typically think if you close your eyes and picture someone with a sign, you think of a man, maybe someone who struggles with an addiction that's about 50, 60 years old. And that's really just a group of people. And the reality is homelessness is broad. It touches and reaches everybody. And I get phone calls all day long from everybody, and telling me, hey, I know somebody or family member who needs help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is the greatest need? I mean, is there that may be hard to define too, because every case is different. But is there a consistent factor that Austin Street can provide that meets these people where they are?
Sure. I mean, by defining the problem as homelessness, that's the problem that we're trying to attack. Well, we know what the greatest need is. The greatest need is a home, right? Because by definition, we're saying, hey, someone without a home is the population of people that we're serving. And we have to realize not having a home affects everything. It affects your health, affects your mental health,
Sure.
affects your ability to be able to increase your income, affects everything. So all that we're doing is trying to get people out of that circumstance. At Austin Street, we say poverty or financial need, plus a crisis of some kind, which can be anything, minus social support is what makes homelessness. Not everyone who's poor doesn't have a place to live, but when you are experiencing that financial need, and then you have a hurricane, you have an addiction, you go through a divorce, you have the loss of a loved one, any of those things,
Illness.
yeah, or illness, or a car breaks down, and you can't get to work. Any of those crises can lead then to, hey, if you don't have someone to call that can say, hey, come sit on my couch, well, then you're in a jam and you're
Right.
homeless.
Right, right. And I know an important piece of the work you do is the volunteers who help out. And you've got a great website that's robust and easy to navigate. And that's kind of where Rotary comes and plays a part because our club, the Rotary Club of the Park Cities, has really found an integral and important way that we can partner with Austin Street. So, Nolan, tell us a little bit about, for those who don't know what Rotary is, there may be some people out there, I guess, who've never heard of it. How do you describe Rotary in a large sense? Overall, what is Rotary?
Overall, Rotary is a service organization. It's not just a group of people that get together to have lunch every week.
Although we do that.
Although we do that, yeah. And we have speakers. That's a good thing.
And we have fun, too. We need to point that out.
Have been recognized as the fun club in this area. But at the same time, we are involved in service. Service above self is our overall motto. And what we want to do is to reach out to our community and help to meet some of the needs that are most important. Rotary tries to focus on very specific things. And our club specifically has, 15 years ago, we did a study. We got together and we came up with strategic priorities. And those priorities ended up being hunger, which is a big issue, health and wellness, which is another big issue, which is a strategic priority that we have, and then leadership. Those three are our strategic priorities.
For our club.
But they fit in really well with national goals that we have. That's a much more complicated subject.
Yeah.
Too. And there are 7 different areas that we focus on internationally. But these 3 are very focused in meeting tangentially in meeting the needs of people in our area.
Right. Here's what
What you want to do is meet some of the needs that we see, that we recognize. And that's kind of the who we are as a group. Service above self. People join our club, one, because of relationships that they have with people that they know in business or in church or somewhere. And then secondly, because they want to give back to the community.
Right.
And that's what we really want to do is give back to the community in a very important or significant way.
Right. And it's easier to do that, I've found, when you're a part of a group, an organized effort. So it's not just one-off.
We can do more together than we can do individually.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what we're all about. And that's what led us to this partnership with Austin Street Center, which honestly isn't that old. I mean, we've done with our club's been around for some time, but this is a relatively new partnership with Austin Street Center.
Actually, Holly Hollenbeck had come to
One of our members.
of our members. She was in Omaha, Nebraska. She had done something similar to this in Omaha, Nebraska. And when she joined our club, she brought the idea to our leadership team, our board, and we just thought it was a great idea.
And the idea was what?
Well, to put on a foot clinic, a foot care clinic for the homeless. That was the heartbeat that she had and what she wanted to bring attention to. And so we looked around for a partner that could help us with that. And obviously, Austin Street Center was a perfect partner because they're working with homeless people. We can help meet some needs that the homeless have, one of which is foot care and providing shoes as well for people to use to go to work. And that's the number one thing that we've noticed.
Yeah.
Is all the people that we worked with want to have a pair of work shoes
Yeah.
so that they can go to work.
Sure. And we've done that for several years now. It's been a great resource for Austin Street. And so, but Daniel, getting back to you, so what that kind of thing helps, but overall, big picture, from your perspective, what is the key? I mean, you said getting people housed, but how do you do that? Like, is there something that you have learned in your role at Austin Street that is kind of central as to here's what we really need to do to get to the heart of the matter to get people into a better place?
Well, in terms of a process, our chief programs officer, Dustin Perkins at Austin Street, he helped us kind of coin or create this process. It really begins with prioritizing people with the greatest need. And then we need to make sure that we can identify a plan to get them out of homelessness and into a home. We've got to find a way how to pay for that plan, right? Because then they're going to be in a unit somewhere. Someone's got to pay for it. Then we have to place them, and then we have to make sure that placement is permanent. So it's really making sure that all their needs are met. To do all that takes a tremendous resource from the community, and that takes the financial gifts that we receive, but it also takes a ton of volunteers.
Yep.
I mean, every time somebody donates an hour of their time to Austin Street, that's an hour of time that we don't have to pay a staff member to be able to do. And volunteers come in with usually just, they're kind of a ray of sunshine because, they are not there doing that every single day. And so they come with kind of fresh vigor and excitement, and it really lifts the spirits of the entire place. So it helps us create the environment that allows for all that transition to occur.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything new that you have started or developed, in this process? I know you're learning things and you're always trying to constantly improve what you do. Is there anything that you have started or maybe changed in how you meet that need for the homeless that you weren't doing 10 or 20 years ago?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if we have enough time for this. Yeah, but essentially, Austin Street's, bread and butter has always been shelter.
Yeah.
But we really do so much more than that. We have the largest rapid rehousing program in North Texas that any other shelter is doing. We also
What is that? Rapid rehousing. What is that?
So it's basically a model to get people out of homelessness and into a home. It basically means there's temporary rental assistance that usually goes for up to a year, and then that individual needs to take over the unit. So we're basically helping people who are homeless move back into a unit, paying for that, and then assigning a case manager to make sure that all their needs are taken care of. So rapid rehousing is one. We have transportation programs. I have a 40-passenger bus that goes to every other homeless service nonprofit in Dallas, so people can get the care that they need. They can go to Parkland and get their medications. They can go, to the Stew Pot and get their ID. They can go anywhere they need to go.
Right.
And then, we also have, programs around outreach and diversion. This is where we're trying to make sure that someone who comes to the door of Austin Street, before giving them a bed, we want to find out, is a bed really what they need, right? If we're able to maybe give them a gift card to a grocery store, can they go back to the apartment that kicked them out recently? If we're able to provide a little bit of support, or if we need to go under bridges and in tent encampments, we have a team that does that. So there's really so much that Austin Street does. We've really gone from a charity, an emergency shelter, to really, a homeless assistance center that can provide whatever it is that people need to get out of their circumstance.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
Do you have maybe a success story? Do you have anybody that you can maybe share that came to you in a real crisis moment, but has a different story?
I wish we had time for
Just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes.
but let me start with one, right? So, I can think of an older lady who was living with her son, and her son overdosed in her arms, and it was really too much for her, and broke her mentally and emotionally. And she found herself kind of he was helping to make sure they can maintain this, and she found herself as a grandmother wandering on the streets, and that's where we found her. And got her into Austin Street, ultimately into a home. And it was our chapel services that really touched her and made her believe that something different is possible. And so we're more than a meal and a bed. We're really about providing hope that something different is possible. She found that hope, and so did several of our staff members who were Austin Street clients before then coming to run our clothing room or becoming a case manager and now helping people out of homelessness themselves. One of our staff members right now came to us, and she had been trafficked. She has been trafficked for quite a amount of time before receiving help at Austin Street and then getting all the recovery she needed at multiple locations, and then eventually coming back to be one of our case managers.
So we have an extraordinary team that worked their tail off, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
Well, we're proud of you.
Thank you.
And the work you do, and we're so glad that you're a member of our club, our Park Cities Rotary Club, and we thank you for coming in and telling us just a little bit about the important work at Austin Street Center. So if people want to know more, before we sign off, give us where can people find you online, and tell us how easy it is to volunteer.
It is so easy. So austinstreet.org. So go to the website. You can click volunteer, click donate. Either way, we could use your support, or come down and drop off some other lightly used clothing donations, some shoes, whatever it is it may have that we could give out to people that need it.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank
Well, Daniel, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jen.
And Owen, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Daniel.
This has been great.
Thank you
Hey,
so
man.
much.
Yeah. I'll see both of you pretty soon.
All right.
Probably for lunch on a Friday.
Looking forward to it. Very.
Okay. Thanks for joining us for Service in Action. We hope this has explained just a little bit about the important volunteer work we do in the Rotary Club of the Park Cities in Dallas, Texas. And we'd love to invite you to join us for any of our meetings. We meet every Friday upstairs at the Maggiano's restaurant in North Park Center for lunch. So you can come by for an Italian lunch, a great speaker, and a great Rotary program. And if you'd like to learn even more, you can read all about us at parkcitiesrotary.org. We hope to see you soon.